Sound speed.
Ladies and gentlemen, cheers and welcome to From Behind the Barcast, the podcast for bartending, service industry, drinking in general, and wedding hosting? Question mark.
Wedding planning.
I'm Paxton Eugene. We got Sunset Kelly on the ones and twos, and your friend and mine, Mr. Mac Williams. Welcome, dude.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
Let me get your opinion about this. If someone said this to you, okay? You show up to work one day as a bartender. Lady comes up. She doesn't seem very lit, not like crazy drunk or anything like that. She goes, "Hey, I would like a vodka and soda." Okay. "Would you like Tito's or Well?" She said, "Nope, give me the Well. It's too late for Tito's."
It's too late for Tito's?
Okay, this is exactly how I felt. How would you interpret, because this took us about 5 minutes to come to any sort of conclusion. As I went to the kitchen, disseminated this to them, like, it's too late for Tito's.
Like, does Tito's unleash the inner beast?
That was one idea.
What time did she order this?
4:30, 5:30, maybe.
Tito's is a noon vodka.
I thought it was tequila for the longest time.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong for mistaking that. What kind of a tequila you want? Tito's. So I bring it to the kitchen, and we're like, I've gone 3 trips into the kitchen and out, and every time I walk in, they've got a new idea. What we finally settled on was, she's been drinking Tito's all. Let's imagine she's been drinking Tito's or higher end vodka all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten to around 4:30. She can't taste whether it's Tito's or not. Why? Why spend the money on a premium vodka if you're at the point where those?
It's too late. It's too late for Tito's.
It's too late for Tito's. I'm
Too
not.
far gone.
I understand that rationale, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I've been to briefly. You've been in a few industries now because back in the day when I fake ran for mayor,
Nice.
you were part of a fulfillment company, doing printing and stuff like that. And then, but now currently, you're a wedding planner's assistant, and it's based in Savannah. But you also rent antique furniture for.
I used to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
That was the company
Gotcha.
I was helping out previously.
Okay.
And I worked with them from 2019 to 2022. And all of 2023, I have helped out. Her name's Megan DeChant with her company and her event planning.
Is that based in Savannah?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called Megan Elizabeth Weddings and Events.
All right, shout out to them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
She's
before the
awesome.
podcast, we were talking about some interesting things, and I never thought of this, but I've been a part. I've officiated a bunch of weddings, and obviously I've attended a lot of weddings.
Yeah, you get your officiation online.
Oh, dude, 20
10
bucks.
minutes, $20, and you're just like,
$20 and a pulse.
"Hey, bro, can you get me married?"
Yeah, for real. Well, the reason I did it in the first place was because 2 of my friends were like, "Hey, we kind of want you to do it," and I was like, "Okay, I'm not at a church." They're like, "No, it's easy. Don't worry about it. We already researched it."
Did you
for
get the collar and everything?
No. I just got the certificate.
Take your holy vows.
It's funny though. You go onto the website and they got a map of the United States, and you roll your mouse over the map of the United States, and each state pops up the different requirements. Right?
Okay.
So Alaska, you got to have 3 years good standing with a church, no criminal record, hoops. Georgia, roll over Georgia, $20 valid driver's license.
No criminal record. You're good to go.
Well, they must have missed that about me because I still got it. But so I've been to some kind of hoity weddings, where it looks expensive. Weddings are kind of expensive anyways if you're not just going to the beach.
Yeah.
But I never understood the world of. So say, a big celebrity or something like that, they want to have a certain aesthetic. So they rent.
They rent awesome, one of a kind piece furniture for a tremendous amount of money. And as far as like the weddings become pretty consistent once you do them enough, and there's like what I would call 3 facets, and it's furniture, flowers, and like planning. And each one of those builds a wedding. And I guess the 4th would be like the venue itself.
Sure, yeah.
But without all those facets like working in tandem, it's just chaos and real.
So is the planning part, does that include like catering and booze and stuff?
Typically, that or the venue provides it. It can vary a little bit with that. That's why in my mind I kind of treat the venue separately. But all weddings will have florists, some sort of furniture.
Photographer?
Yeah.
Is that included?
Videographer.
Yeah, yeah.
They are definitely vendors that are always at weddings as well. So yeah, maybe 5 pieces.
So are they, when they're renting these very expensive pieces of furniture,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking for a particular aesthetic, like we want Victorian England for
Mm-hmm.
this one, or we want like Egyptian pharaoh,
Well, living in Savannah, it already brings the aesthetic of like
Old South.
Old South, like real Southern furniture and that aesthetic. And that's what they're typically looking for. And they have a color scheme and a color palette that they're trying to like follow. So they build lounges. I mean, the florist is also a part of it. Sometimes they'll match the flowers to the furniture,
I mean, obviously.
or vice versa. I mean, they got the money.
And do you guys source the furniture, or do you have it on site? Like, or do you have a warehouse?
They have a warehouse full of it, of all this furniture. So
Kind of anything that they would expect people to want. Well, here in the South, at least.
yeah. I mean, they've even built stuff for weddings where they're just like, "Do you guys have this?" It's like, "No, but we can make it." And they've built like shiplap walls, that are, I mean, that then once they build them, they can just rent those out over and over again.
Oh, I was about to say, is it just a one-off? And it's like, all right, take that with you. You know, we built it for you.
Sometimes,
But
yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
repurposed.
Yeah, I mean, the celebrity wedding that I worked, the 5,000 square foot of decking, that was all temporary. We put it in place, and it took 4 days, and then as soon as it was over, it all got ripped up, destroyed, throughout,
Like it was never there.
like it was never there. Yep, completely gone from the venue.
And on the deck, what was their furniture aesthetic?
White, green. They dyed the ceremony white, so we dyed the whole stretch of the ceremony with this white dye, but the reception was like this brown, earthy, green, very enclosed scheme.
For something that size, and just thinking overall, because you've been on all sides of it, what is staffing like, do you think? Like, just to prepare it, not necessarily on-site staff who are like carrying around hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that, but like kind
For
of
that level, like the
yeah,
top,
for that level, what kind of manpower does that take?
it was an army. It was awesome, honestly. Like, and a lot of people who were working there were working their ass off, especially the local vendors. But man, when you get California people coming over to the South, and they start acting like they know a thing or two, and they forget that you don't have to have Southern hospitality.
It's not a prerequisite.
It's not. And like, if you treat me less than, like,
Oh, no.
you'll get no respect from me, 0. And at one point, I did kind of push a little bit too far, and I got in a little bit of trouble. I got put in timeout,
Oh yeah.
literally. Like they told me, they was like, go sit in the truck.
Go sit under that beautiful awning we built.
They're like, go sit in the truck and think about what you did. And I was like, oh, come on now. I know you need me.
Yeah, it's like, what? You're giving me a free hour off work? Okay.
Yeah. And so like you start having this hierarchy of assumed worth when it comes to these.
Well, they view you as the help no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's a service industry thing. And now some people view you as the help because in certain circumstances you are the help. You're getting them something.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not the help as if you're their on-site maid or, you know, whatever. You're not at their beck and call. You're there to do a job and you're doing something for them. But they're not your direct superior.
No. Believe it or not, we're both human.
Oh, that's
you could
weird,
treat me
right?
like one if you want to.
Isn't that crazy?
I'd appreciate it.
Well, there is the idea of like, you know, the Southern hospitality thing. And I can say particularly in the South, there's a higher threshold for when people will flip and be like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
You're treating me like shit.
Uh-huh.
Because Southern people, you know, they let people get a little, California folks, Northern folks, they start at the level of we are battling.
Yeah. what the fuck do you want from me kind of
Right,
deal. It's
yeah.
like, why are you looking at me?
Why are you looking at me?
I was
Yeah.
like, I just waved.
You got a problem, friend? You know?
I'm not your buddy guy.
So have you found that, people not of the South, do they tend to sort of skew towards, hey, dude, here's what you're going to do for
The
me?
manners are non-existent. It's do this, and you're like, are you gonna say please?
Please? Yeah.
Or are you gonna acknowledge
Hey,
me?
if you could.
Believe it or not, I have a name.
Yeah, right.
You know? Hey, hate that.
Woo!
Hate that shit.
Snapping me. I dare you. I
Snap at
triple
me
dog
sometimes,
dare you.
you know, I
I
know.
triple dog dare you. Yeah.
No, I hate that. And at the end of the day, you're like, I am gonna do this, but I'm not gonna like this person.
Yeah.
Because I want to do a good job. And I think a lot of when people are working in service industry,
Yeah.
that's all they want to do is do a good job.
Do a good job, do it efficiently, but be respected while doing it.
Yeah.
You ever do any? So I do this in protest sometimes. So if someone is sort of obstinate to me, like, hey, here's what you're going to do for me, this and that, I'm going to end up doing it because they asked me to. Oh, but I protest for at least like 30 seconds. Like, yeah, gotcha.
We reserve the right to complain.
Slowly turn away. Slowly reach forward. Oh, that's not what they want. Whatever subtle little protest can make me like defume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like decompress just a little bit.
Just so I don't come back snapping because, wow, man. All right, I was going to use this as my Karen, but you're going to have so many. This happened the other day. In my business, outside of just bartending, podcasting, and stuff, a lot of my business is people interaction. Right? This guy came in the other day. He's a local restaurant owner down here. It's daytime. He orders some food. Right? He doesn't wait long enough to ask when the food's coming. It hasn't been an exorbitant amount of time.
Okay.
He goes, hey, man, what's up with the so-and-so? And I looked at him. I had 40 things right away that I could have said to him that would have roasted him. And we never would have been friends again.
Right.
And I held back. I could say these things to you. We're friends. I can bust your balls.
Yeah.
This dude. So I was like, look, don't get me started right now. We're friends. This is not the smoke that you want. If you want to have a battle of just insulting wits, I got you, man.
Yeah.
I got you. Let's not ruin our friendship over this. So that's the line you got to draw because especially what's it going to do for you when someone's like, hey, excuse me, snapping at you.
And at the end of the day, nothing.
Nothing.
It's only going to hurt me long term.
Exactly.
And to your point about like the Southern hospitality is like we have a higher threshold. We got like a little bit more patience, but it's that after. It's the reputation that those individuals serving you tell their superiors, and their superiors know people, and they're like, I'm sorry to hear that. They're not allowed here anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's how that ends up.
It comes out in the wash, and it's just like like actors in Hollywood. If they're deemed difficult, start getting less jobs. So if you're a customer or whatever, and people find out you're difficult, either you're gonna get way overcharged because they're we'll book this for you.
Well, doing that kind of doing business that way, it's kind of built in because it's a wedding or some event. It's a big moment in their life, so everything's probably ratcheted up a notch as far as what the
emotions are high.
Tensions are high, emotions are high.
Like wedding day, I want everything to be just perfect.
There's one or two people that want it to be real perfect, and that spreads down to everyone else, and that brings their anxiety higher.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to get to that too, but the furniture thing, I wanted to know. So you're renting very expensive, like antiques a lot of times, or custom built.
The very first wedding I had to help with it, they had 20 farm tables, and these are custom farm tables that are 200 pounds each. And
Pre-distressed, did you guys distress them so that they looked
they look sweet. I mean, they're in good shape.
Okay. Well, I figured farm. They want them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like some companies rent out trash furniture.
Yeah.
Over and over again. Not these guys. But the first wedding I worked had these 20 tables, and the guy in charge of the legs that went to him didn't bring all the right sizes, and guests start arriving. So on the very first job, on the very first wedding I've ever worked, we're in full panic mode. He drives away with the trailer open and still hitched. Like he's in full meltdown mode as he's like crashing and burning. He's like, I don't know what to do. I was like, relax. It'll be fine. Like, just go get the legs. We'll put them in.
Yeah.
keep on rocking. I think that's his name's Jordan. I love Jordan. I think that's when Jordan really liked me. Is like once I just kept my cool, because in weddings, you only have one shot at this, so you want to do everything you can to problem solve as quickly as possible, and like you just do the best you can.
Well, you know, it doesn't help problem solving. Melting down.
Melting down, yeah. Panicking, no, never helped. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, panic's going to set in.
Mm-hmm.
You go through it because if you don't start visualizing and figuring out, we'll be really busy and people will be like, "Oh, you look so calm." It's like, if I didn't look calm,
You're like the stewardess on the plane.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
if they're panicking, then I should panic.
Yeah, because again, you're trying to do a good job, and you want to do a good job next time. You know, there's going to be more weddings.
Did you feel you already had that skill before you started doing that? Where if things were on a tight timeline, or things are messing up, that you were able to kind of use that to focus?
No, I actually admire my sister so much for her talent
Yeah.
to like just lock in like the most dire situations. She's a lifeguard on the beach. She could just pull it together so easily. But when it comes to individual things for her, whether it's like schoolwork or like her dogs, she just melt down.
Absolute mess.
But if it's somebody else, full focus.
Yeah.
So I try to like learn from her and try to figure out like how like to break things down in a logical sense.
Sure.
Of like if then this. And I think I learned a lot from her just trying to like, de-escalate the situation.
Sure.
What's the most efficient thing to do? What's inefficient? And just,
I think the
figure out
problem
what the
most
problem
people
would
have is they try and visualize the entire problem and the fix for the entire problem instead of just doing step one.
yeah,
And step one might be minuscule. It's just like waking up in the morning, making your bed.
right.
That sets the tone for the rest of it. So if you're in panic mode, you're like, the first thing I need to do is drink water.
yeah.
Whatever your first.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever your first step may be. So at weddings, I don't know if our wider audience knows this, but there's a lot of drinking going on
Oh, so much.
for most weddings, at least.
It's a wedding.
And I wonder if the people, the father of the bride or whoever has to warn these people like, hey, this furniture was built custom, or it is 200 years old and made from a fabric which we can't harvest from these animals anymore.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is once you get exposed to enough people, like when you're socially around enough people, you can tend to read them really well. Especially if they have one or two drinks, you're like, this person's going to be a problem or not. Sometimes they just don't care, and they'll just ball out, party, and then just write the check.
Yeah. Whatever
happens.
happens.
Yeah. Other times you'll have some people who are full of entitlement, and they are like, no, I rented this and it belongs to me now, and I'm going to do whatever I want to it. And you're like, huh, okay.
Well, you're still going to pay for what happens to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much like has there ever been like, I don't know, Queen Elizabeth's third bathroom chair that you guys rented that got destroyed somehow?
Yeah. We've had a few chairs that just over the years people have just abused. We had a
I'm talking
sofa.
about real shit. I'm talking about vomit, urine.
like we had I'm trying to think of a particular piece, but none pop out in mind particularly that were just absolutely smashed. Usually it's some sort of bodily fluid.
That's where we're going. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, somebody's either peeing on it or
like an
throwing up
incontinent
on it.
grandma or a drunk guy trying to lift up the papasan
Yeah.
couch cushion thinking it's a turlet.
Well, we had an older gentleman who had some sort of medical incident on a cushion one time, and that just ruined the whole piece. I mean, he had to go to the hospital afterwards because
Was he bleeding?
Yeah. Like he had just like something happened down low, and he was in the chair and just ruined it. So that got burned.
Is there event insurance for things that happen like that?
Yeah. So the way the company works is they have these clients sign a contract that in the event of any kind of destruction or abuse to their furniture, the client is covering the full replacement cost. And if it is a one-of-a-kind piece, it's going to be a very expensive check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this question. What's the most outlandish request in your mind for a wedding? Like, we have to have this thing at our wedding, or it has to be a certain way.
The most outlandish. When it comes to
Or
money,
just one thing.
nothing's off limits. But the worst part is when they can't make a decision, especially if you're the planner too.
Yeah.
We had one wedding where we had rugs that we had a whole bunch of them, and they just couldn't make up their mind how to lay out these rugs. And we spent a whole hour. And keep in mind, we're coming up to when the event is supposed to start. The wedding's going to start, and they moved these rugs, I think, a dozen times. And it's these 3 wedding planners who can't get their heads together.
There was 3 wedding planners?
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Too many chefs in the kitchen for us to even get anything going. I mean, so like the most outlandish thing that I can think of is...
So they didn't want endangered peacocks flown in or anything like that?
Or animals or anything like that. I would say like flips when you're at a venue and you go from ceremony to cocktail hour to reception.
Okay.
They will give you no time. They'll give you 30 minutes to do a full flip. And if you have guests of 150, you have like no time to take all this furniture, all these chairs, redesign the room, redecorate it.
And you got to herd all 150 of these people out of the space
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
you can flip it over anyway.
Yeah, you start breaking a sweat fast just trying to accommodate the timeline.
I wanted to talk about, so you come from like really good stock, like all of your families, like pretty top
I'm
shelf.
surprised
you know?
I'm on this podcast right now. I mean, I would
we had Maddie as a producer.
Yeah.
Her and Franklin sat in helping run the cameras. But the thing that I noticed, and this is before, so all you guys were homeschooled?
All of us were homeschooled.
So I didn't know this before, and I had known Carolyn, your mother, amazing woman.
Shout out to my mom.
You know, first before I knew you guys.
Love you, Mom.
Well, for you guys weren't of age to be there early on, anyways.
Yeah.
So I met her first, and her social acumen is very top level.
Yeah.
And you know, she understands how to navigate many different styles of personalities, especially hanging out at Huckapoo's. There's it's innumerable the amount of different kind of characters there are. We are in the South where we have more characters per capita than most other places.
It's so funny. Yeah, she'll meet somebody for the first time. She'll be like, "Oh, come meet so and so."
Yeah.
And this and this, and you're like, "Mom, you've known that person for 10 minutes. How are they your best friend?"
She's like, "Yeah, I've known him at least 10 minutes. Yeah. It's 9 minutes longer than I needed. I already know."
We've even gotten to the habit of like, "Yeah, I'm Mac," and they're like, "Yeah, who are you?" And I'm like, "You know my mom."
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know Carolyn.
You know Carolyn.
Ginger. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you guys start showing up, you guys already displayed that sort of like same social acumen where it's like you're not out of place anywhere, not botherable, you're not making scenes, but you're also not flies on the wall sort of thing. And then once I learned you guys were homeschooled, I was like, it's a unique thing because kids get their sociality, for better or worse, coming up through school and understanding how to delineate between friends and foes and who's going to be a bully and who's not.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if skipping all the kids that are like, "Oh, look at your stupid shoes." When you're a kid, you're like, maybe my shoes are stupid.
Well, siblings are great bullies. So
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least you only have a few of them to deal with.
Right.
Do you think it helped or hindered your approach to the world in terms of like how you deal business-wise, socially, any of those things?
I definitely think it helped, but I should put a caveat that we all did go through elementary school, and my older siblings did go through a little bit of middle school.
Okay.
So we went through a little bit of traditional schooling, and then once we moved to Georgia, that's when we were all homeschooled, and we were all very active in sports, and that kept up
sports helps. Yeah,
sports helped
for sure.
a ton, and I played a lot of baseball, basketball, and that kept a lot of my social like skills up and high. And growing up on Tybee, you just have like a little gang that you run around with. If you're all the same age.
You got to click up, baby.
And if you could be like 4 years different from each other, but you could still be in the same crew.
100%, because especially down here, it's such a small community. You can't find 9 people that are all 9 years old at the same time.
No, no shot. Not with like what it was like with the school on the island before.
Right.
We got the charter out here. You could just had to, these are the people your age, and you can like them
close
or not.
enough, man. Yeah.
And there were like, there were the good ones and the bad eggs amongst
of course,
them. Yeah. So I think it was a pro. I got to be a kid for a really long time.
That's great. Yeah.
And like just enjoy being a kid for a really long time. And I think that's a real positive. Like I just got to be Mac. I didn't have to, feel the pressures or the influence of high school,
right,
or whatever comes with that. The tropes, all of that. Didn't
like
have to deal
the
with
specter of big exams or having to. Yeah.
Yeah, I just avoided it all. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So I think it was a net positive, just from knowing you, whatever. But I just always thought like, what would be missing in terms of, because if you sort of desensitize people to certain things, like was there a lot of prohibition around your house in terms of like what you did, like cursing, drinking, like experimenting with things?
So my mom hates this, but I like the best analogy is that we were all raised kind of like dogs. and like that, she had a whistle that she would do, and we would all have to come if she whistled. We had a set of rules that we followed. Good self-control, never gets you in trouble. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Real Christian values.
Yeah.
So there was a ton of that. As far as like prohibition away from like, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
There was some pretty heavy discipline if you stepped out of line.
If you stepped out of line, but it wasn't, here are the hard rules and I'm watching over you like a hawk.
Nah.
I think it's a smart way. It's hard to trust kids in any capacity. But if you're raising kids and you've already imparted on them like to be thoughtful, smart, self-control, you don't have to helicopter them so much because you're like, but if you do fuck up, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that they conveyed was understanding the risks of like whatever decision you make.
Right.
Will have some sort of repercussion.
Right, yeah.
And if you make the decision, it's going to either affect you positively or negatively.
You're going to fuck around and
You're
find
gonna
out.
fuck around and you're gonna find out.
I mean,
It's real simple.
Because especially not being desensitized to certain like worldly things, I've seen the most rebelliousness I've seen from teenagers or just kids at large are the ones that were so prohibited from everything.
Yeah.
Like turn the TV off after 6. You can't listen to this kind of music. Don't you dare drink, before you're 21. And then all of a sudden they turn 21. They have 3 beers and they're out of control, driving, wrecking into a truck. It's just like, I think it's the Mennonites or something. They have Rumspringa.
Yeah.
When you're like 16, they're like, yeah, motherfucker, go to the field.
Go. Yeah.
Get drunk as hell, smoke weed, do whatever. See how you feel.
Yeah. Know what it's like. Understand it.
90% of those kids, they come back.
Oh, because they're just
like,
much.
we've done it. I don't have a family
They made
around
a shot
me.
at that, right? Like breaking Amish or some shit
What's
like
that?
Was it breaking Amish?
Amish do it.
I mean, they've done. Yeah,
it was a bigger, grander scale, like they sent them to New York or something like that.
Oh
I think
yeah,
they just let them
would.
leave, right?
Yeah, it's at age 16, I believe. Until you're 17, you go do whatever. But some of them were really insular. They're like, yeah, go to the field. They would have little houses for them, like camp out there, drink, do all you want, and almost invariably they would mostly come back. Because once you're used to that, like family structure, living outside of it, you feel like your ass is flapping in the wind. Like there's nothing for certain.
So it is funny because in all our 20s, my brother, he moved away to New York. Like he's the furthest from us. I bought a motorcycle. My sister has tattoos. And my older brother's in the military.
Your sister has tattoos?
Checking all the boxes.
You didn't know that?
No, not at all.
You should check it out. She got some ink, and she's got some more on the way. Too.
Oh man, sis with the tattoos.
Well, I mean, come on, her husband's got ink, so it's
yeah, for sure.
inevitable.
Yeah, R.I.P. Franklin. People think he's dead because they
so funny. I love that. Do you know we had a poster up? So my buddy Mike and I, we went on to South Florida to the amusement parks, and we took this very, very homosexual looking photo of us both front double bicep, and there's a dolphin in front of us. It's an amazing photo.
It sounds like it.
And because we come from a print company, my dad can't help himself. So he prints this 5-foot by 3-foot banner
of course
of us both flexing in front of this dolphin. And we're like, there's only one place it belongs. The Huckapoo's bathroom. So Mike and I go over there, install said poster, 2 weeks, gone.
Gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a buddy of mine.
Too good.
Too good.
Yeah, yeah. We were like, where'd it go? We have no idea.
You think you're just going to leave the Mona Lisa out there on the street and someone's not going to go grab that thing?
Turns out a friend of mine from the gym sends me a photo of it. He's like, is this you, LOL? I'm like, that is, but that's not the Huckapoo's bathroom where it belongs. How'd you get that? And he goes, well, it's actually somebody else I follow on Instagram. And I'm like, I need her info because she needs to return that.
Her. Oh, it's a her. Oh.
Yeah, after my investigating,
Yeah.
she stole it, like pulled it down with her, like her friend entered the bathroom. They pulled it off the ceiling, rolled it up, tucked it in their clothes, left Huckapoo's with it. And then she's a traveling nurse, so she took it to like the Midwest.
It's like when they steal a yard gnome and take pictures of it everywhere.
Yes, yeah. I was like, why did you take this? And it's hung up in like her house. And I'm like, why?
It's over her bed next
like,
to the mirror.
So funny. And we did the only thing we could think of was to make another one.
I mean, you got to. I mean, you still had the image. You know, you still got the printing company.
But and I know, it's not there either.
Oh yeah, no.
We have no idea. We have no idea who took that one. So at that point, we were like, you know what? Maybe it's just
There's a rash of thefts down here on Saturday.
who are just taking
of burly boy pictures with dolphins.
So funny. Yeah. If you're curious what the photo looks like, it is on my Instagram.
I don't know if you want to. I mean, yeah, you can check it
shell
out.
there.
So the other day, I got to do the shout out real quick. Sunboy, it's like some booze company. It's sort of like seltzer or whatever. And I walked into work the other day, and they go, "Hey, have you ever tried a Sunboy? It's a spiked coconut water." And I said, Sunboy, and I said no. The only spiked coconut water I drink is made by Firemaker. Go to firemakerbeer.com. Talk to Mike O'Connor. He's going to be your guy.
Hell yeah.
Drinks at weddings. Well, all right, so let's go into the, so now you're assistant wedding planner.
Yes, now I help a wedding planner, and I'm her assistant. And being on this side of it, I'm at the wedding the whole time, and it's so much nicer.
It's nicer than just bringing the furniture, leaving,
The
fucking off
labor,
and coming back? Yeah.
Yeah, because you load in, it could be 10 a.m., you pick up 1 in the morning. Like, I've had jobs where I was out till 3 picking up furniture, and those were rough.
So that does kind of suck.
It's terrible. But being on this side, you get, like, you don't have to do any of that, like, very difficult labor. But the service is scaled way up, where you're at the beck and call of most of the guests, especially the bride and groom,
Sure.
or the mother of the bride. Very important figure. Is actually my Karen. One of my Karens is a mother of a bride.
We'll get to him.
But being on the assisting side, everything goes way smoother if people follow directions.
Sure.
Funny how that works.
Well, and if there's only one wedding planner?
And if there's only one wedding planner, and if she knows what she's doing. Megan is an absolute professional. So, like, as far as the wedding planners I've been exposed to, Megan
I was going to say, not to
one of the best.
begrudge wedding planners generally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've officiated a bunch of weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only done my friends, really. I've done 2 non-friend officiations.
Okay.
Just because I was available. It was sort of not shotgun, but they wanted to get it done really quick on the beach, you know. And someone's like, "Hey, I know a guy."
Yeah.
But mostly I only do my friends. And I write the sermon in quotations.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them, because it is important to the mother and the father, I'm like, "Hey, you might not be religious, but if your mom wants some Bible verses in there, don't buck against it. Just put it in there, make mom happy, make dad happy, whatever."
Yeah. Whoever's
But-
writing the check, typically.
That's what, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I've dealt with probably 5 or 6 wedding planners that are just hellhound beasts.
Some of them have reputations.
I'm just the guy reading off of a book, you know, and they've tried to direct me in certain ways. Like, you're going to be standing right there at 4:15. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got the itinerary.
Yeah.
I know, you know, and then they'll walk around, and even their own help, their own employees, or people they deem can help, they are just incredibly, let's just say, not gracious about how they ask them to perform their duty.
Yeah. There's a bit of a stereotype when it comes to wedding planners, for sure.
And I mean, you got to be a hard ass if you want to get things done sometimes. But
yeah, what do they call it? Type A or something?
Yeah, I
like
get
that?
it. I mean,
where they're like very organized and very like structured.
But if you're organized and like dictatorial, that's fine if you know what you're doing and everything's efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But just using the position to be a bitch, which is pretty common, I think. Do you agree?
I would agree, but there are some all stars out there. Mark is another wedding planner that I know, English gentleman. And did you know Caitlin Boston?
Yeah.
Is also she just worked her first wedding at the Tybee Hotel Tybee venue.
Okay.
And it was Mark she was working with.
Yeah.
He's one of those like dudes who just like gets it done.
Top shelf.
Yeah. But and a price point is a big part of this as well. Your lower end planners, probably that's where you'll see more of that. When the price of the planner themselves is up, you'll get better quality.
So is one of the jobs of the planners to book the flowers and the catering and all that, or is it all in house for your company?
That's all the wedding planner.
That's it.
Yeah. That's all on the wedding planner on her side. What
And
she's doing with
DJ?
the bride, and the DJ, and
Flowers.
and booze, everything. That's why you hire. Well, like I mean, that's the aspect of a wedding planner, right?
And then would the wedding planner, if the venue already offers like services of like catering and food, would they just defer to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would be cohesive.
Well, so what's your typical loadout in terms of, all right, you've been booked for 100-person wedding.
100-person wedding, like what venue I would choose here in Savannah?
Well, no, just like
like start you from the top, work your way back.
Yeah.
100-person wedding, you want to have a venue that you can either do both ceremony and reception at. You want to decide the color scheme early so that everything looks correct in photography and videography. You want to establish, a photo list as well, which is like after you have the ceremony, you stop and everybody takes photos. You want to establish whether or not you'll have a cocktail hour. If you have a cocktail hour, is it a paid bar? Is it not a paid bar? After cocktail, how are you running dinner?
What's the split on that? How many paid bars versus unpaid bars have you done? I got to tell you how disappointing it is to show up to a wedding and it's not
be
open.
Bar.
Bar.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
I tip like a some bitch.
Yeah. Most of the time, these are open bars.
And it'll be limited. All right, you got 4 whiskey or 4 bottles of liquor.
They'll have special cocktails for the wedding.
Yeah,
like one for the bride, one for the groom. Approve, don't approve.
Approve.
Okay. And then most of the time will just be your typical Tito's.
All right, so
whiskeys,
here's something.
whatever.
Here's something I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've worked weddings as a bartender as well. But so it'll be all right. You get choice of vodka. There'll be vodka, whiskey, gin, and whatever else, right?
And a beer, typically.
Yeah, and maybe like 2 or 3 kinds of beer.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll do is they'll have a bottle of Tito's up here. They'll have a bottle of Jameson up here. They'll have a bottle of Jack Daniels up here, and they'll have a bottle of Grey Goose up here.
Mm-hmm.
Down below where I'm pouring all of these things, it's Wave, Mr. Boston, Dave Johnson's Gin House.
Yeah.
Is that something?
Stuff you can buy.
The bait and
the
switch.
Korean one.
With the 1001, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
that typical with these
Yeah.
venues? No. They all keep it straightforward. If you could see what they have, that's what they're
you're
serving.
getting?
Yeah. I mean, and that's you're serving so many guests who you don't know who they know, and keeping everything like T's crossed, I's dotted.
To the letter.
Yeah, you want to because you have one shot at this event,
And
it's
especially-
a huge event for somebody.
And especially at the higher end, obviously the people that they know would also be in the higher end of, your bookings.
So many times referrals have come from guests that have been at weddings, and that's like a huge part of it of continuing to get work for another event in the future, whether it's
Would
a
you
wedding
say like,
or corporate.
have you ever had like a 50-person wedding that's the most extravagant event you've put on, or is it traditionally like if it's a few hundred people, the bigger the scale of it is? Or
I think the small weddings are super sweet and super wholesome. Typically, those tend to be families that really really get along with each other, really like each other.
They don't need the wide expanse to keep Uncle Ron away from Aunt Jenny from the other side of the family.
The bigger it gets, it tends to be more of just like a big party, and people are just like wanting to turn up, get wild, get crazy. If there's a dance floor involved, and then you can kind of dictate whether or not if there's a dance floor involved, it's just gonna get a little rowdy. If there's a DJ involved, it's gonna get
a little more rowdy.
A little more rowdy. And I've worked with a DJ friend of mine, Will Smith Music. He's local, and his talent, like working close with him, and his sort of service towards the audience, is being able to bring everybody on and like get them moving and keep it welcoming for like any ages, whether you're an old crowd, a young crowd, playing the classics at weddings. My God, you hear the same songs.
Oh, I mean, I get it, but look, man, there's like 20 must-have songs that are that are non-generational, non-denominational.
Yeah, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
That song is played at
get a little bit something now.
So many weddings.
Yeah. Get a little bit louder now. Yeah. I mean, there's a cha-cha slide.
Cha-cha slide.
Macarena.
There's just certain things that you have.
Yeah.
And most people, they don't understand the importance of the DJ.
No.
In terms of...
It's an oversight. It's almost like...
If a guy's just like... You got to be like, everybody, Kate and James looking good out there. I need y'all on the dance floor. Boom. Get child now. Put it on. Where you at, Grandma? To the child now.
Yeah, and like like the cohesiveness of the vendors themselves. When there is a DJ, it takes the pressure off of the planner to keep the pace of the event.
Y'all, 15 minutes, we're going to have cocktail hour to the cha-cha.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I've DJ'd weddings before, and I've gotten the itinerary where it's like, have them ready for cocktail hour at this time. Mm-hmm. It is an important part. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, it start becoming sort of an MC more than anything else.
For sure, yeah.
And if you're playing, just a playlist and sitting
there.
You
go down looking at your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, song's almost over. Yeah.
It's just the vibes are.
So, what's it called? What's it in the military? Order, chain of command.
Chain of command, yeah.
Chain of command. Who's above the wedding planner? Who is it? The mother of the bride? The father of the bride? Who's the one dictating what the wedding planner implements mostly?
I would bet every time it's the bride.
The bride herself.
The bride herself, and then adjacent, or if not higher, the mother of the bride. And then the influence of smaller things, whether it be, what drinks are involved.
What drinks are there? Yeah.
That could be more of like
maybe cousin Eddie, the guy who
or the father.
Sure, yeah.
Of the bride, or even the husband. Sometimes they want like a specific beer or something. Like
look, mother of the bride might not know what most of the family prefers to drink.
Yeah.
She's like, everyone loves rosé. Like, no. We need some liquor.
Yeah, not everybody likes rosé.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you need some kind. Well, speaking about like the specialty cocktails, the first wedding I ever did, as a bartender, there were 2 specialty cocktails. It was a blackberry mojito and something else. If you didn't get those 2 things, you could have a Bud Light.
So you had 3 drinks.
3 drinks. I loved it and I thought it was a really great power move too. Coming from the wedding planner side and the family side, because they were like, look, man, we're not going to be fussy. It was like kind of a big wedding. Mm-hmm. It was a money wedding too. It wasn't, they weren't cheaping out. Mm-hmm. They were like, look, guys, you're coming to this thing. Here's what you're going to get. We got a big venue. You're going to have a good time. The DJ's going to say cha-cha now. All the amenities are going to be there.
Yeah.
But we're not stressing out the staff by having 9 things on the menu.
That's tactical. That's smart. That sounds like that, family, we're in some sort of service. Thinking that far ahead sounds like somebody who knows who had to deal with it in some sort of manner, or they've been exposed to it. To think of that is so smart, to be on top of it like that.
And it seems simple, but it's not something most people are going to think about.
Well, I cut out.
I'm here.
Oh, we got a little hey Siri moment.
It's Siri. She does this.
What's
shit
up, Siri?
sometime.
Dang it.
Let's see if she comes back.
Stop it.
We bet.
Hold on.
If you can stop Siri, we'll be good.
Yeah.
We're back.
My sister changed mine to a guy years ago. I've never changed it back. I feel like
Is
Mr.
he an
Stark.
English guy? What can I help you with, Mac?
It's like Mr. Stark, A little Tony Stark moment.
I kind of forget where we were, but
the limited menu.
Limited menu, yeah. I was gonna. So any wedding I've ever been a part of in musically or bartender or officiant is probably the planning starts minimum 6 months out. Is that?
Yeah,
Is that about?
If not a year, depending on the size of the actual wedding itself, because you can be pretty cut and dry with a short ceremony and a reception. That can be a wedding, but it's when you start adding more to it, moving parts, creating a timeline, like that's when it really starts to take more time to make sure you have everything in place, especially if you have contingencies that you need, vendors that might not be there, items, food, beverages. I mean, there's shortages all around for certain drinks now.
Sure, yeah.
For what's Aperol, I think is
really
hard to get right now.
I think like a year or two ago, Hennessy was hard to get.
Hennessy was hard to get, yeah.
Because you got to age it for X amount of time, and you can produce as much as you want, but if that's sat in the barrel for long enough.
Yes, yeah. So there's things that prep. I mean, you got to do a ton of prep, and 6 months is bare minimum. I think the time you need to plan a good wedding, and at least not a year,
And there's a few I've been a part of where they're like, yeah, we're gonna have the wedding 2 years and 3 months from now. I'm like, you're just hoping.
So outside
it doesn't happen.
Outside of like the normal slings and arrows, do most weddings go off without a hitch? Would you say like? I mean, there's always probably.
I would say
bump.
most weddings go off without them noticing a single thing, and that's the best.
That's the job.
Right? That's
job done
like
well.
When we do it really well. And I worked this wedding over on Wilmington. It was probably the most fairy tale, beautiful wedding.
Disney wedding,
They loved the hell out of each other. I mean, the families got along great.
Oh man.
They were both dancers, so like
you didn't even have to hire birds. The birds just showed up and landed on trees.
I kid you not. They go out for sunset. There's dolphins and a sailboat. It's like God set up this wedding just for these two. It was beautiful.
They're
it was
supposed
awesome.
to be married.
Yeah, I mean those as like as fun as it is to talk shit about like a lot of the bad stuff. You gotta take like that one. That one was a win. That one was awesome.
Yeah.
Like we're all high fiving each other afterwards. Like chest bump. Like just crushed that wedding. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I think the mark of success is them not knowing you're there, sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Being forgettable, but like in the best way.
Sure.
Yeah.
In terms of ceremony, like sermon wise, do you how much of a fluctuation have you seen between like Catholic style wedding versus
we got out here today?
Yeah, right.
That type of deal.
That sort of thing.
There are people who are good at it and do it well, and then there are others who just.
So I think the older the priest is, the longer this. It's probably going to
be. Especially if you go to a Catholic wedding,
Woo!
You buckle
Communion.
up. Yeah. Buckle up. You better be like, well, like keep it together. Try not to fall asleep, please. Yeah.
Oh, do you have Red Bull here? Yeah, Red Bull vodka. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in the wine. It's in the Eucharist.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, infused.
I did one. Actually, the very last wedding that I officiated. It's out in it's out in the country somewhere, but it's this like big, beautiful wooden farmhouse.
Yeah.
Giant. So the ceremony, reception, DJ, all that was in there. But
country weddings are fun.
Yeah, but then they had a bunch of like cabins everywhere. So all the groomsmen were in one cabin, the bridesmaids were in one cabin, bride and groom had another one, families in another cabin, all this stuff. And these were people that I met that were coming up to Poos. Mm-hmm. So a huge pomp and circumstance, but like hood country style,
Yeah.
Everything was really nice. Everything was well done. The food was good. The booze was good. But they said, I want that ceremony to be less than 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, as the officiant, I was like,
you want me to just skip the I do's?
I was like, I could do that. Do you? Legal for me, legally, all I really have to say, I have to have a witness.
Yeah.
And I have to say, do you take her? Does he take you?
Yeah.
Legally, that's all you got to do. Everything else is window dressing. So I'm out there, and typically as an officiant, people think you're of a church. Most likely, even looking at me, they still like, oh, he's in some church.
Right.
I don't know what kind of church he's
Presbyterian.
from. Yeah, right. I'm a pescatarian.
Pescatarian. Make something up.
Yeah. So I do it. I do it in 5 minutes, maybe 6. I mean, I was trying to stretch a little bit because I was like, they got to get their money's worth. I get done. Every person over like 40 was like, hey, so what's up with the short ceremony? I was like, look here, man.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It was,
Bride and groom.
Wasn't your call.
Was not your call. And it's such a weird thing where people have this expectation where it's like, look, when I deal with the weddings, there's 2 people you listen to. Well, maybe like 3. The parents and the bride and groom. Outside of that, y'all ain't got a say in this shit.
No. Because it's their day. It should be, And at the end of the day, like that's who you're trying to serve. And if you're attentive enough, you can tell, like, who the MVPs are.
Sure.
The grandmothers, taking good care of them.
Oh, 100%.
The best I've ever been tipped was by taking care of one of the grandfathers at a wedding, and he was just like, I need a bottle of wine and a large whiskey. And I'm like, how large do you want? He's like, 4 fingers. And I'm like, you got it, on the way.
Also, I like you. You're right.
I didn't know he was going to tip me. So I was just like, I'll make it happen. So I talked to the bartenders, and they were like, yep, here's a bottle. Popped it, handed it to me. Here's your whiskey. Delivered it to him with glasses. I said, is there anything else I can get for you? I was like, I'll let you know. He got belligerently drunk, but in the nicest way.
Yeah,
A cute old man drunk,
it.
And handed me a wad of cash and like patted me on the back and said, good job, son.
Wow.
And I'm just like, thank you. Appreciate it. Anytime.
You can tell sometimes, man.
Yeah.
You know who the MVPs are going to be. And luckily, because here's one way it can go. Hey, man, I'm going to take care of you. Now, give me,
if you preference with that, I'm like, I don't believe you.
And then by the end, they're like, so what do you think about all these blacks here? You
Whoa.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of guy.
I think they're fine, but I don't know about you.
Hey, what? Why? That bottle of wine got really quick.
Actions speak so loud too.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, especially the thing about weddings is, just like Christmas parties at like offices, these people aren't out getting drunk all the time. It's not something that they're good at or used to. So you see either the funnest part of people or the worst part of people.
Yeah. I mean, I had a groom one time after the entire reception, and this is back when I was doing the furniture side, so we're showing up late. It's over, and he's just wailing and hollering, like, where's my bride? Where is she?
Where's Kelly?
I love her so much. It's just so funny. But he's drunk as hell. But he's on his ass, just screaming for her. And it's so funny because it's groomsmen just like dragging him by his feet, dragging him to the car, trying to get him to the hotel. I'm like, that man is not doing anything tonight. As
He's
far
not
as,
consummating
No consummation tonight.
no, he's not going to be able to operate at all.
Not even his not so heavy machinery.
Yes.
So when people get a little like out of line or a little too out there, would you consider them to be?
Oh shit! It's the Karen of the week. It's the Karen of the week. Gosh.
This week's Karen of the Week brought to you by Pinot Grigio and Evra 3 Sparkling Lemon Lime Water.
Let's see that label.
Let's hear it.
This is one for the audience.
If you know, you
A
know.
little ASMR.
Also by Firemaker. What you do, the sparkling lemon lime water. What I did the other night, because I forgot I had some of this, but I had some vodka.
No.
I mixed the two together and made a cocktail.
Okay.
All right. Every wedding,
Every wedding.
there's going to be one.
My Karen, at my top tier Karen,
Oh, we're going top tier. All right, let's go.
is pre-gaming a wedding is fine. But being the mother of the bride and pre-gaming too hard before photos, unacceptable. And she got so piss drunk. Even during photos, like, she's drooping. She's barely awake.
I'm like,
She's visibly drunk. We haven't even gotten to ceremony or reception. I don't even know where she's getting served this alcohol. So she's
got a
to
Freedom
the venue.
flask and a bra.
Yeah, right. She's pulling up, hitting it. It got I don't know how she managed to stay on her feet, but she got all the way to reception and speeches. But before speeches, she was kicked out of the wedding. They absolutely removed her. Told her to.
Who makes that decision, though?
The bride.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
Because you, as a staff member,
No.
you can't make that decision.
So
We can
there's
recommend
not,
it.
like bouncers at weddings traditionally. It's usually a family
So this
member
is the cool
or
part about me.
okay. So
is
you're the
that-
bouncer.
Yeah, I kind of get to be
The mover?
sometimes. Yeah. So as of recently, and I don't know prior experiences, only what I've done, with the experience I have in the last year or so, is that you there's not a lot of big male, like in the industry as far as wedding planning goes.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah.
And if you are, you tend to be homosexual or like
Sure.
gay, and you're not as
I mean, it comes with the territory. It's
intimidating.
Like, I don't like those flowers.
Yeah.
You want to have a gay touch.
Yeah.
I mean, it
a little
helps.
bit, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
But I have a little bit of size to me, and
Right, yeah.
I can help Megan kind of police a little bit more.
Yeah.
This actually kind of translates well into a Darren.
Okay, yeah, let's get
really,
that's
really
what we're
good
here
there.
for, baby.
So I mean, like right from a Karen to a Darren is
Well,
this.
wait, I still got to hear about. So she gets kicked out. Does she try and find her way back in?
Nah. She
She probably passed out.
So the nice part about the bride is that she warned us that her mother might be a problem, and she didn't even want to write, like she didn't want her mom to be at her wedding, but it was so like there's obviously more to that. There's like that's like a hot boiling tea,
Don't worry about it.
and there's so much backstory to that between and we just
Obviously.
we're just like, oh, okay,
But
like,
then last minute, she's like, "Hey,
yeah, I mean, we were like, the bride was like, do not let her get a microphone and get up there and talk. So it was like the grandmother and then the, I think the sister got up and gave speeches. And she went to her old hotel room and like was never seen for the rest of the night.
I was about to say, never seen again."
Yeah. Well, not never seen again, but man, I know that she's got some mommy issues. That's like,
Of course, yeah.
obviously, and like, oh, she's just so drunk.
So I've seen a bunch of drunk mothers at weddings, but not, I don't know, falling down, can't make the speech. And I've seen fathers make speeches before, but it's not typical that the mother makes the speech anyways.
Yeah, I, that's a good point. I think, but I sometimes it's like shooting from the hip when it comes to handing somebody a microphone, because you never know what they're gonna say, for how long they're gonna say it, who they're gonna say it about.
Oh, I've got a good one for that when it comes up.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And we've had gentlemen go on for way too long, completely like shift the entire rhythm of the wedding.
Oh yeah,
just
yeah.
off of yapping, just yap spill.
That's when the DJ.
You need
going
like
on.
Oscar closing.
Yeah, I was about to say the
music,
DJ needs the Oscar closing.
Yeah, or the like
The wrap it up
The wedding
music.
planner will step in and be like, "Oh, great, yeah,
Yeah.
okay," and like take.
Wasn't
the
he
microphone.
fun?
Wasn't he fun? Yeah, okay. And like the pity claps come in. It's so funny.
I'll just sneak this in before you're Darren. I DJ'd this wedding, and it was kind of a ghetto wedding in turn, like white ghetto. It was at a gun range.
Okay.
man.
Hell yeah.
Tells you anything.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
And the best man, and I think this is pretty typical. Like the best man, there's some stress about him. You know, he's not like running around making like. I hate you on some of those. Right now. He doesn't have the same stresses like the mother would, or certain other people. Like, oh, everything has to go right. Like the best man is just kind of like, hey, I'm here for my dog. Make sure he doesn't get too drunk. You know, piss his pants, whatever. This guy, he's going to be the first to speak too, and like you said, you can read the people. Like after a drink or two, you can be like, they're either going to be really fun or they're going to be a problem.
They're gonna be a problem.
This guy's going to be a problem. Gets up. If he was joking, if he was doing a bit, this would be Louis C.K., Seinfeld, Bill Burr-esque. level comedy.
He wasn't doing.
He
a
was
bit.
not. This was no bit. Wad of dip,
Nice.
cold can of Miller Lite, whatever. You know, I didn't like Mary when he first.
It's a bad way to start. Bad way to start is I don't like, and I'm not good at public speaking. Horrible ways to start your speech.
You know, yeah,
Horrible
that's the death knell. Listen, I'm not good at speaking. Oh, he was fine at speaking. I didn't like Mary when I first met her. And I said, James, you met her on Tinder. Are you really going to marry a woman that you met?
Oh man.
I was like, where's this punchline coming? Because it's going to be great. And he goes, I can't fucking were the next fucking 40 words. The bride and groom are slowly
Encroaching.
Pulls the mic back. I'm not done yet.
It's like, I wonder.
One last thing.
I wonder what her kill count was before you, buddy. You know she works at so.
No.
I'm like,
No.
the punchline is coming, isn't it? The punchline came when the groom was like, Randy, you're out.
He kicked him out.
Only time I've seen a bride's or a best man kicked out. I was sure this punchline was coming.
Jaw
up.
dropped on the floor.
I mean,
Everybody's just in awe. Of
Talking
this
about
happening.
record scratch.
Yeah.
The guns stopped firing out on the
What did you say?
firing range.
Oh.
Crazy. Yeah.
So you know what I did? I turned the music on to me. I was the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, get down on it. Get down on it.
Nah, nah, nah.
He was the first guy to speech.
Oh, okay.
I had to let music play for like 20 minutes. I was like, I'm overriding any of your, because this is a redneck ass wedding. I was like, we need to let the room clear a little bit. Just, vibe wise.
Yeah.
Good God.
That transitions well into my Darren.
Here we go.
Because it wasn't the best man, but it was a groomsman.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing about choosing your groomsman is maybe it's me. Maybe I have a certain standard that I hold. If I were to be a groomsman, I would want to represent the groom in the best way possible.
Especially if you were chosen to be. That's a position
Like
of
you're
honor.
my boy. Like
Yeah.
I chose you to be a part of my wedding
Proud
and,
to
and
be a
represent like who I am and who I am as a character to my future wife. At this particular wedding, and I don't drink, and sometimes people get a little weird when they offer me something, and I politely refuse. At this particular wedding, I was offered tequila shots because they were all doing it after the
Do
ceremony.
they take offense some weird way?
Yeah, they're like,
Oh, you don't want my booze?
"Hey, you want a shot?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm not drinking." They go, "What?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm
What
okay."
are you, some kind of queer?
And I swear they like, he thinks he's better than me.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
All the way through. Like that's what, because
Yeah.
you can see in their eyes. I'm like,
Yeah.
gonna be a problem.
But you're working though, right?
I am working.
So that's a plausible
Yeah.
out.
But I think even if you go, no, sorry, I can't, I'm working. Be like, oh, come on.
Yes.
It would just
Ratchet it up.
Ratchet it up.
Yeah, I've tried all methods of tactically
Oh, I
saying no
bet.
thank you. It just comes down to the person.
None of which work on certain.
In this Darren's case, he just took it as like a superiority thing, like a challenge. Well, he gets wasted, and which is embarrassing for the groom.
Of course.
But he also has his wife and kids there, which for me I'm embarrassed for him. I'm like, I can't believe
You're doing this in front of your wife.
and kids. He causes such a scene. He has to. So, another groomsman got so drunk that he almost fell on the venue planner, and these are big white boys, like 250 plus, guts.
I had this vision of the person you were talking about, like
Yeah.
a visual of him, and I think I was pretty spot on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, you can already kind of develop it, but I'll tell it to you anyways. Like these are some big old white boys
Someone had dip in their mouth at some point.
north of 6 feet, and they're just that dude's falling over the place, and this Darren is like defending him, sort of the I'm not fucking leaving type
Yeah,
energy.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like he's ramping it up, so we have to try to de-escalate. This venue planner, she's 100 pounds soaking wet, and she's just like trying to do the best she can. So now like I get involved. Now you're kind of like, okay, here's the muscle.
Here's the muscle guy now, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to use my muscle at all.
Am I the muscle versus these giant drunk guys? You know,
This dude proceeds to call me all kinds of colorful names, stuff that I haven't been called before.
yeah.
And
Especially not at a wedding with his kids around.
I mean, he called me Megan's bitch at one point, which is Megan is the planner. And I'm like, I'm just taking it and I'm just smiling. He hates that I'm cool, calm, and collected. Hates that. And so he's just like yelling and screaming. And eventually,
buddy.
eventually we like get it to the point where we're like slowly bringing things down and like putting these guys in like a separate corner. There are guests at this hotel too that are not a part of the wedding, and this guy causing an absolute ruckus at the hotel bar because they cut him off from the ceremony bar. He went and got more booze to try to defend his. And there was like a bottle of Patron that wasn't paid for at one point, and there was on those boys' tab.
Wedding Patron is like $400 a bottle.
Dumb. Yeah. You know what? For their sake, make it $500.
Make a $500.
Yeah,
Make it $1,000. I don't know. They deserve whatever they can put on that guy's card because of what he put them through. And even when the taxi showed up to like escort them out, they wouldn't get in. Like I don't.
You probably never dealt with that before, have you, Kelly?
Yeah,
I don't want to put
times.
any. I'm trying to avoid putting any hands on anything. But he's looking like for any opportunity. He's got the look of like.
Still got the
please.
memory of you turning down his tequila shot too.
Yes.
In his
Yeah.
mind.
It's where it all started.
He hadn't let that go.
No, not at all. And he's like,
I think you're better than me.
yeah, he's still cursing at me. He's like, fuck you, dude.
Megan's bitch.
Make a bitch, little bitch.
Did he finally come
something.
around maybe at the end like, man, I'm busting your balls.
No. This is the worst part is that the groom came to me the next morning. He goes, I am so sorry for what he did last night. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. That's horrible, unacceptable behavior. And that's your groomsman. Like he should represent you. And like the groom felt awful for how that whole like end of the night played out. Because it's a wedding. It's supposed to be.
That's a very
good
savvy
time.
way to present it to the groom too. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah,
that
I'm
sucks.
never gonna remember this guy again.
Well,
until I go on a podcast.
Until I go on a
Picture your
podcast.
mantle for the rest of your life.
Talk a whole lot of shit about him. But
I wonder if it's because it was probably one of his best friends. Maybe he hadn't seen. I'm just hoping for this guy. Maybe he hadn't seen him in a long
yeah,
time.
you
and-
want to play the devil's advocate or like give him the benefit of the doubt so much.
Yeah.
But his actions were inexcusable. On like most of the groomsmen, they got so drunk, they got out of hand.
Man, I've
acted
been to
way
weddings
too
where
entitled.
everyone's gotten drunk, but no one acts like a jerk off like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hold anyone else more accountable than I would hold myself in certain things like that. And I'm a really good drinker and partier or whatever, so it's not typical. I'm like, or ever that I'm throwing up, falling down, pissing in Papa's on.
Goes back to what Mom said: good self-control never gets you in trouble.
Exactly.
Slowly
And being
a little bit.
exposed to it. And that's what I was saying. Like, a lot of times when people don't drink once or twice a week, and then they drink one time a year at a wedding or at their Christmas party.
Yeah, and definitely in this wedding's case, they felt like it was so special. I think they went above and beyond what they probably would have done normally. Like their limit was surpassed tenfold before the night was even over.
There's a thing I've noticed at weddings where unless you're the bride or the groom or the father or whatever, walking up to the bar like, hey, can I get a shot of there's prohibitions on what you're allowed to get to drink. So many weddings I've been to, they've been like, we won't pour shots.
Just to keep that
Just
sort
to
of
keep- yeah.
shot and like
But you can get
mentality
it on
out
the
of
rocks.
Okay. And still just shoot it.
It's a weird thing.
Okay.
I was just wondering if that's a bylaw that is sort of universal amongst all. I mean, I guess it probably goes venue to venue, maybe.
It's gotta, because I mean, you have bartenders all over the place who have shot glasses available.
Oh
And
no,
they're
I
like,
know.
"You want a shot?"
They've been instructed not to. I wonder if that's
Yeah.
from the wedding planner or from mom being like, "Hey, listen, we got."
I don't know. That's got to be like another one of those like I've
Someone-
seen something and like it's not gonna happen
Yes,
here.
somewhere down the line, someone had to make that decision. I mean, that's. So if this guy, your big burly boy who got offended that you didn't take a shot. I met a guy just like him yesterday at work. I met a guy just like him. I was at work. It was not late enough for me to be like, hey, it's too late for Tito's, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like drinking, though, anymore. I'd had a few shots, whatever. And he had that energy of like, if you don't drink with me, something's wrong. Like, come on, man. What do you think? I saw you take a shot an hour ago. Well, you can't take one with me. You think you're this and that. I kind of disregard him because he's found another person who will take shots with him and that he can talk to. I'm overhearing him and his wife, and a lot of the things that they're talking about, I'm not really into. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he was racist, but he was. And so I overhear him saying to the other guy goes, so what do you do for a living? He goes, well, I'm a horseshoer.
Okay.
So I hear it, and I was like, well, I kind of get what he's saying. He probably puts shoes on horses.
Yep. Pretty straightforward.
So I go, horseshoer? I was like, isn't there like a more proper name for that? He said, nope. It's like, okay. So I thought about it for a second. I was like, no, there is.
There is.
Farrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I said,
That's the
question. Yeah, you're a farrier.
Oh.
I'm a horseshoer.
Yeah,
Farrier is gay. If this was a bit, you'd be the funniest dude I know.
I would want that to be a bit so bad. I'm laughing
If this was a bit, you would be the funniest guy I
That's
know.
so funny.
It is not a bit.
I'm not a farrier. I'm a shoe horser. I'm like, you kind of look like a farrier.
What do you do, sir? Well, I look up into the cosmos and study the patterns of stars and constellations. Oh, you're an astrologist. No, God damn it. I ain't gay. I look up at the stars.
Like a respectable man. And this man likes to look at stars. I think they're pretty.
Astrologers call them things like pretty and shit. I ain't gay, brother. Guess what he was drinking?
Oh.
Bud Light. I was like, you drew the line at Farrier, but you're not all pissed about the whole Bud Light thing? Come on, buddy. It's not a principle.
He's just admiring all the clothes he has in the closet,
I ain't a Farrier. You ever done a British wedding?
No, never done a British or an English wedding. I've worked with Englishmen and things like that, but
I have an affinity for English folks in general.
I really like their sense of humor. It's not for everybody,
right?
But they are masters of sarcasm, masters of it, and they have such a good way of delivering it that I think it's just so
naturally
funny.
dry, even though they come from the wettest country in the world.
Right.
And people don't understand how to take it because it seems insulting.
Yeah.
But if you know British people, they're the least insulting people. In terms of, they'll accommodate anything just to not have to confront.
Yeah. Well, just avoid conflict.
Well, sometimes, there's an exception to every rule. Yesterday, again,
you had an eventful yesterday.
And I got off work at like 9 o'clock last night.
Is it those two dudes you peddled off on me?
So I get to work yesterday. And Erin, daytime bartender, she's moving out of her house.
Uh-huh.
And there was these two British blokes and another guy.
Some mates.
Some lads. They were just a couple lads. I'm sorry, Kelly.
He's pissed.
You're pissed. So they were drinking Angry Orchards. They were like, if I'm gonna drink something all day, it's gonna be a fucking cider.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna drink. I was like, well, we have the blackberry cider. Oh, that's fucking gay. Not really. I made that up. But still.
Not far off.
Yeah.
Not far off.
So Erin gets off work and she takes these British blokes to go help her move because her ex-boyfriend's there and she wanted to make like a thing about it.
Yeah.
Like, I brought some guys with me.
Stir the pot,
Yeah, right, whatever. So they go, they do the thing, they come back, and as soon as they get back, the two British blokes, all the other people that were with them before that, oil and water. Dawn dish soap into oily water. No one wanted to be near him. I was like, what has changed?
What happened between
What has
now
changed
and
in the past couple minutes? I don't know if they accidentally drank more than they're used to between that 40 minutes that they were gone from Huckapoos. Belligerent. And I found this thing with certain English people and Australian people. They think they can act any way they want as long as they call you legend every 5 minutes. Oi, Paxton, how about another beer? You're a legend.
Yeah, like it excuse any kind of.
That's what I'm saying. It can excuse any of their bad
They
behavior.
called me legend 3 times. Between Huckapoos
Oh,
and
you're a
Memphis.
legend, mate.
Oh,
Thanks
legend,
for taking
mate.
care.
Look at you open that door.
Hey, do me a favor. You be a fucking legend.
We're all the bloke.
So I'm.
Call me mate one more time.
Yeah, call me mate one more. God damn it. I'm a legend. Thank you very much. 5 minutes into them being back, I was like, I'm done with these guys. Luckily, now listen, I didn't provoke this, but luckily they go, oi, what would you do on a Sunday at 7:30 in the evening? Where would you go? I was like, what's the furthest? And I hate doing this to my friends. I was like,
Miss Patty is who you
Miss Patty. Oh, I'm so sorry, baby. I was like, what's the furthest place away from here? I go,
That's so cool.
Windrose. You're going to love the Windrose.
Yeah.
Then I called Kelly. I was like, I got 2 blokes up here.
Send him to the Tybee time.
I should. They
were
probably
close.
weren't open.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Windrose was the first thing I thought about. And then I dumped him in. How were they in the car ride, Kelly?
Before we even got out of the driveway, I knew you were pawning these guys off on me. Which I didn't. Which I thought we were better friends than that. I thought we had an understanding of this kind of shit. But obviously, but I did never try to turn the favor with those 3 ladies later on in the night.
They were in the day before. They were actually very sweet.
But took them down front, and I realized they weren't overly belligerent, but I was like, I tried to steer them towards Doc's because they were still open late on Sunday for whatever
Good move.
reason.
And I figured, that you would be smart and do that.
They were like, well, what about this place? I was like, Doc's is probably the better spot for you down there. You probably like that a lot more, But if you're not, you can pop back in here. But they were annoying. They wanted me to take them into Savannah,
Yeah.
which we just don't do.
I
I couldn't.
fucking told him that already. Too.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't let it go. That was the one probably most annoying thing.
I wonder how long they lasted down there.
Well,
Probably 5 minutes.
I told them not to call us back. Not rudely, but like don't call us.
Oh, you know what? You're my last ride. We're closing
Yeah,
up
pretty
now.
much. But if you're trying to get off the island, don't call us. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you have a craziest Huckapoos experience that sticks out for you specifically? I mean, you've worked there for so long, you could see. I've
Oh,
seen
100%.
so much
And
stuff.
I'll tell you that story on the Patreon right after this. So
Subscribe.
listen, if you would, thank you, Mac, for being here. You're going to be on the Patreon too. We haven't done a Patreon in a while because I've been letting the smoke settle. So I'm going to give you a update on the podcast and the state of being. And if you would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/From Behind the Barcast. We also have an Instagram. We're also on Facebook. We have a P.O. Box. It's P.O. Box 191, Tybee Island, Georgia, 31328. If you would like to send us any booze, shirts, anything you'd like to drink. Mac Williams, thank you again for being
You're
on.
very welcome.
It was
It's been a pleasure.
a pleasure, Kelly.
Yeah.
Thanks for being you and taking those British blokes last night.
You took 2 British blokes last night?
Whole new Boston Tea Party going on.
It sounds like a handful.
You got colonized. We'll see y'all in a few.
I love Harvard.
You know that I've had beef for the past 30 minutes.
We got bevies. That's what happens.
That's just a fun little note.